Welcome to the American Viniyoga Institute's live Viniyoga Foundations Program Q&A. Today we're here to talk about the Viniyoga Clinical Applications Program. Thank you for joining us today. Applications are open for the next cohort of the Viniyoga Foundations Program training beginning in February. The early bird has been extended to November 30th and registration ends December 15th. I'm Tammy Straup, the student advisor for the American Viniyoga Institute. And joining me today is Julie Shaw. Julie is the Viniyoga Clinical Applications Program Coordinator. She's also senior faculty and mentor for the program, a longtime Viniyoga practitioner, teacher, and yoga therapist. Julie, thank you for joining me today to talk about the Viniyoga Clinical Applications Program.
Thank you for having me, Tammy. It's lovely to see you.
You as well.
Mhm.
So the clinical applications program is really the second half of our training. The first half is the foundations program. How does this part, the clinical applications program, differ from the foundations program?
The clinical applications program is a continuation and an expansion upon the foundational content that's learned during VFP. So in VCAP, we take the important foundational information that's learned in that first part, the VFP program, and we expand our understanding of how to apply those principles and skills in a therapeutic situation. So we take a look at the at health and wellness from a structural point of view, a physiological point of view, mental and emotional point of view. And we learn how to apply the myriad of yoga therapy tools that are in our toolbox to the individual's needs. So I'll just leave it there for now. I think more will come out as we talk a little bit more.
Absolutely. You kind of already alluded to this, but many prospective students already have a yoga teacher certification and want to jump into VCAP. They're looking for a yoga therapy program. Can you explain why the foundations program is required before the clinical applications program?
Absolutely. The Viniyoga program, if we think about it as a whole, it is an entire program. The Viniyoga, the lineage that's behind the Viniyoga tradition is specific. And so we have to have that foundation, that foundational knowledge in place before we can begin to try and apply it in a clinical setting. So while we fully appreciate that students have had other programs and they've gone through a whole yoga therapy program, if they haven't gone through the Viniyoga Foundations program, then they're not prepared to go into the Viniyoga Clinical Applications program. So we really have to think about the Viniyoga program as a complete unit, as a complete entity. And our program starts at session 1 of VFP, the Foundations program. That's where the whole thing starts. So while I understand it completely, it really is important to think of apples and oranges. So if you've come from another 200-hour yoga teacher training, that's an apple, and the AVI programs are an orange.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talk to students who are looking to come into the program, I like to explain it as in the foundations program, you're really learning the foundation for what you learn in the clinical applications program. And so to miss that, you would miss quite a bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, 100%. And I would go so far as to say that you wouldn't succeed. You could not just hop. First of all, we don't let anybody do that because we know that you wouldn't succeed.
Okay.
There's a language, so to speak, that we have. There's a lexicon that we have. There's an entire tradition of yoga therapy that comes through the lineage of Krishnamacharya, and all of that has to be in place.
Mm.
So it's like first we walk, then we run.
Yes, exactly. So, Julie, what is your favorite aspect of the program? I'm sure that there are many, but if you can, one or two maybe.
Yes. Well, if I think about it in a global way, my favorite part of the program as a faculty person is seeing the progress that students make, seeing where they come in at session 1 and where they are at session 4. It's an astounding arc of learning and development. So that's my favorite part as a faculty. Um, and I think I could expand on that a little bit and say that another one of my favorite parts, therefore, is the mentoring aspect of the program. So we work with students on a one-to-one basis. Each faculty person is assigned a set of students as their mentees, and our role is to really shepherd people all the way through the program. And that is absolutely essential. It takes this program from being a, a training that somebody attends to a real relationship with the mentor, with the rest of the cohort, with the Sangha, with AVI as a larger Sangha, ultimately. So mentoring and being able to see people make astounding advancement in their understanding and their skills over the course of the 2 years that the VCAP program extends.
Yeah, the mentoring program is also one of my favorite aspects of the program. So, you've been a yoga therapist for over 10 years. You graduated from the yoga therapy program through AVI in
Mhm.
2013.
Yeah,
What do you believe are the most critical skills and qualities that a yoga therapist should learn during their training?
that's a great question, Tammy. Okay, the first and foremost is not necessarily specifically a skill, but it is a practice. And in fact, it is the personal practice of yoga. So I think that it is crucial for anyone who wants to practice yoga therapy to practice their own yoga first and foremost. Just as we talked about the foundations program, a personal practice is the foundation for being able to apply this work. Um, the work of yoga and therapeutic yoga is one of self-discovery. And so it's an essential quality that we need to have, that personal practice and personal inquiry. So that's number one. Um, then to get a little bit more technical, a little bit more pragmatic, I think that students need to need to know enough about the body to be able to understand how to apply the tools to the person's condition, and to be able to understand enough about anatomy, enough about physiology, and to be able to understand, okay, here are the here are the options, here are all the tools that I can choose from. How can I make a choice? There's not ever only one right thing, but how can I develop the expertise, the assessment skills, the ability to listen, and to listen with an open mind, and to listen with that calm, balanced mind that we get from our personal practice, to be able to make an assessment of a client who's in front of you, to be able to mutually set really good goals, to understand what the tools are that can help achieve those goals, and how to make sure that the client knows how to practice those tools, and then always to follow up. So that's the yoga, that's the process right there. That's the yoga therapy process. And I feel like students need to be able to understand the through line, to take all the component parts of that process and understand where they fit together and how and why they fit together. And that takes time. That takes time and practice. So that's why we have a really in-depth program.
Absolutely. And I can say, as someone who's recently gone through Viniyoga Foundations program and the clinical applications program, that it's done really well. And, the step-by-step process is just that. You learn one step at a time and you build on it until you have that skill of being able to assess and work with the client. So I appreciate that.
And Tammy, you were just such an amazing student to have. We just loved having you, and we love having you at AVI. I wanted to just say one more thing that I think is important for people to learn, and that is a phrase we use very often during the training: less is more. And we learn how to use just the right calibrated dosage, so to speak, of yoga therapy tools to help people. And we learn how to appreciate the impact that a small intervention can have on a client and how to build from there. So less is more. I think that's another important thing for folks to learn to
It is.
grasp.
And it's a skill too.
That's
Because you can go overboard very easily.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
Um, because you've been working with students for a long time, as well as in the field yourself, what job opportunities are there for yoga therapists? Like where can yoga therapists work, or what can they do with it?
So yoga therapists have a broad range of options, and there are opportunities. First of all, there are opportunities wherever you'd like to go and kind of create an opportunity for yourself, because the the product, so to speak, that we have, that we're offering, is so valuable, especially in the culture that we have now, which is experiencing a lot of stress. So, that said, there are opportunities in healthcare settings, hospitals, physician practices, physical therapist practices. Um, there are possibilities of partnering with wellness centers, integrative health practices, um, um, consortiums of practitioners that might include acupuncturists, massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, etc. These are becoming more and more commonplace. There are opportunities for yoga therapists to work with the military and military families, opportunities to work with seniors in senior centers, again in hospital settings, in recreation departments.
Mhm.
In adult ed classes across the country, there are adult ed classes. That's one of the best classes I'm enjoying right now, working in an adult ed uh, program. There are research opportunities. There are yoga therapists who spend their time researching how yoga and yoga therapy affect people with various health conditions. Um, there are opportunities, of course, for personal practice. And when I say personal practice, I mean hanging out a shingle and seeing clients on a one-on-one basis. That may be done through a yoga studio that you either own and run, or you make an arrangement with someone. You literally hang out a shingle, or you work virtually or remotely, which is a new aspect of our work that we are addressing and teaching people how to do in the training. There are opportunities in corporate America. So corporate wellness has been established for decades now, and companies, people, organizations are looking for people who can help others learn how to manage stress. And I could just say that right there alone, to help manage stress, but also to improve sleep, to improve energy and work with fatigue, any health condition, as you know. The ability to teach folks how to do a simple breathing exercise that helps to balance their autonomic nervous system, the fight or flight part of the system, and the rest and digest part of the system. That is a skill that can't be overestimated. So I hope I've answered that question. There are opportunities all over the place. And you can, just talking to some of our alumni, you can see all the different places where people are doing their work.
It's true, and it's so inspiring to hear from other people what they're doing, because you can tell how their own interests take them into wherever they end up, and it's really not a one size fits all or a one job opportunity kind of thing.
Right, exactly. It's as individual as the content that we teach therapists to do. It's as individual as the individuals that we treat. Yeah, and opportunities arise. I would encourage people to check out yogatherapy.health. That's a website that is put together by IAYT, and there's so much information there for the public about what yoga therapy is. I think I'm freezing a little bit. I hope that's coming through okay.
Yeah, you're okay. Before we are finished up here, Julie, is there anything else that you want to share about the program?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the transition from the foundations program to the VCAP program. And there's a time period between ending VFP and starting VCAP, ending foundations and starting the clinical program. And during that time period, we assign some work for people to do. And it's a way to begin to get their feet wet with transitioning from the teacher training aspect of the foundations program and moving more toward working with individuals, working with some of the models of yoga that we learn during the foundations program, and how we look at a whole person through the model of the Panchamaya, the model of the Pranavayus. And so we get folks started with that. And it's definitely time consuming. It takes time not only to do that pre-training work, which includes a requirement of at least 60 hours of anatomy study. But then as we enter the program, we have a lot of homework that is required. The homework is where folks build their skills. And so it's a hugely valuable part of the program. But it's a real commitment. And it's a true education. So I just wanted to bring that up, to talk about the scope of our program and how much we really offer, which I think if people look around at some of the other programs that are out there, we have one of the most well-organized programs in terms of the way that we introduce the material, and one of the most comprehensive programs in terms of the way that we offer such a broad range of material and the opportunity to practice that material before finishing up.
It's true. The opportunity to practice, I think, is really key as someone who's going through the program because it can be intimidating to learn all of these, all of this information, all of the ways to work with people, and then get out and start working with real people. And the way that ABI does it is you begin working with people right away. And I think that that's really empowering and also just a really wonderful way to put into practice what you're learning so that you are able to integrate it better.
Exactly. And to start using it right away. I think that's a perfect way to put it. And it's a low stakes approach because you're, telling the folks you're working with, I'm in training and you're helping me by being a client for me. And we require, as you know, several case studies to get those skills up and running. And as I said early in the beginning, seeing the difference between somebody's first case study and then seeing their final one or their final project, it's beautiful. It's beautiful transition or transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful job that you have to be mentoring people and to see that transformation for them.
It is, it's a dream job. I love it.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here, Julie. And we'll take just a moment to see if there are any questions. You can apply now, like I said, to the Viniyoga Foundations program, which is the first component of our program. It is the foundation for the clinical application program. The early bird has been extended through the end of this month, November 30th, and the registration ends December 15th. So, all right, I think that because it's kind of quiet, we'll go ahead and end it here. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. All the information is on the website. You can schedule a call with me, the student advisor. If you have any questions about either of the programs, we're happy to answer them. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dan.
You.